Tiffaney Gerving. I will be speaking to inform you about alcoholism. Alcoholism is the addiction to the consumption of alcohol which results in mental illnesses and compulsive behavior. Alcoholism has been officially considered a disease. It can also be known as alcohol abuse, alcohol dependency, or alcohol use disorder. Alcoholism strongly interferes with a person's work, school, family, and relationships. Unlike several other diseases, there is no exact cause of alcoholism. It really all just depends on the individual's life and what he or she has been through. A few common causes of the illness, however, include social stress, mental health, and family history. However, there are several more. No matter what struggles life throws at a person, it is not okay to abuse the use of alcohol. However, it seems as though thousands do so anyway. Diagnosing alcoholism is a very difficult thing to do. It is so difficult because the testing for it requires a series of questions. If the alcoholic does not answer the questions honestly, it is almost impossible to accurately diagnose alcohol abuse. According to the alcoholism.com webpage, this illness is diagnosed properly less than 30% of the time, which means this disease is rarely diagnosed through doctor visits. Family and friends see the problem first. An alcoholic will never just walk into a doctor's office and ask for help. Loved ones of the individual see the drinker continue to drink in spite of all the problems that it causes his or her life. Friends and family will then try to encourage the drinker to get help. Usually the drinker refuses to admit that the abuse of alcohol is the source of his or her problems, which then will lead to self-denial. Alcoholism does come with several symptoms, just as every other disease and illness does. According to the alcoholism.com webpage, there are 6 obvious symptoms to help diagnose a drinker. The symptoms begin simply with neglect. The drinker reduces the amount of time that he or she spends doing social or work-related activities that were once important to him or her. When the drinker begins to consume larger amounts of alcohol over a longer period of time, this is a sure sign of excessive use of alcohol. It seems as though he or she cannot do anything without being intoxicated. Another symptom of alcoholism is impaired control. This is when the drinker makes repeated, unsuccessful attempts to cut down or control how much alcohol he or she consumes. Persistence of use is when someone consumes alcohol despite knowing that his or her drinking problem is contributing to a physical or mental problem. When a drinker stops drinking for a short period of time, he or she may experience nausea, sweating, shaking, and anxiety. These are all signs of withdrawal. Finally, the 6th obvious sign of alcoholism is tolerance. This simply means that the drinker needs increasingly amounts of alcohol to achieve the same level of intoxication. Alcoholism includes both physical and mental components. Some of the common physical problems include cirrhosis of the liver and pancreas, epilepsy, alcoholic dementia, heart disease, various cancers, nutrition deficiencies, ulcers, sexual dysfunction, and it eventually will be fatal. In recent studies, genetic factors appear to have a bigger influence on people with addiction, according to the Casa Columbia webpage. How long until these health issues set in all depends on the person. However, the amounts of alcohol that can be consumed and processed differ between the two genders. Women tend to have higher percentages of body fat, therefore a lower volume of distribution of alcohol than men. Another way to state this fact is if a man and a woman consume the equal dosages of alcohol, generally the woman would have higher blood alcohol content. Because of this, women will usually develop the long-term complications much more rapidly than men, giving women the higher mortality rate from this illness. With alcoholism comes mental issues too. A drinker tends to lose touch of his or her surroundings. An individual cannot hold a job anymore, cannot pay rent, can't pay the bills, cannot drive, and loses contact with his or her loved ones. All things that we take for granted every single day. Alcoholism is hard to overcome, especially when alcohol is the most available and widely abused substance. Beer alone is the 3rd most consumed beverage after water and tea. Rehab takes several steps, but it is very possible to go from an addict to being a sober and clean person. the main goal of treatment is abstinence. The WebMD page states that 50 to 60% of recovering alcoholics remain abstinent at the end of 1 year's treatment. If and only if they have good social support, good self-motivation, and are on the good path to health. Those who do not have any social support, have poor motivation, and psychiatric disorders tend to relapse within a few years of treatment. There is no pill to take quickly to cure this disease. It takes a lot of patience and hard work. The first step is detoxification or detox. This may be needed immediately after discontinuing alcohol use and can result in a medical emergency. Detox usually results with withdrawal seizures and hallucinations. Step 2 is rehab. Rehab involves lots of counseling and the medications to give the recovering alcoholic the skills that he or she may need to remain sober. If an individual can get past step 2, he or she is well on their way to recovery. Because step 3 is the maintenance of sobriety. This requires the alcoholic to be very self-driven. An alcoholic faces several struggles throughout their life. Seeking treatment is hard for these people to accept. Every day after rehab is just as difficult as every day before. One drink can send a sober individual back to square one. I encourage you to reach out to anybody in your life who may be suffering this fatal disease. There is help awaiting them.